Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Pisces energy. And for this round, we're going to do this 10 card spread again. But this time, we're going to use this mix of the Intuit Oracle decks, or Intuit decks from Intuit's Etsy shop. See what kind of story wants to come out. We're still going to read it from like a couple different perspectives because of the fact that how people are going to harness this energy is going to be different. You know, we've all got different emotional maturity levels in life. Learn to temper our fear and our insecurity and our lust and our greed and our pride and our ego. And some people have learned to do that more so than some other people. So some people might be harnessing this energy in a more immature, shadowy, kind of egotistical, defensive, self-centered way, and other people might work through it and choose to offer love to the situation so that those things don't keep manipulating them. Pisces is emotional water sign energy. It kind of can have to do with what we find emotionally fulfilling and has to do with what our dreams are and if we're listening to our intuition or if it's more about us fulfilling ourselves, more driven by ourselves, or if we've learned to become more independent of our more worldly, shadowy nature, to be more independent of it, to do love. And some people have, and some people haven't. So the truth sets us free. We all tap into Pisces energy, just like all the other 12 zodiac signs of love and truth and inspiration and stability and security. We're looking to find people who match up with a lot of the truths that we have, right? And then we can more, our truth is kind of the same. So at the core, a more worldly, shadowy Pisces would be kind of more, this is the overarching reason for the reading, could be a little bit more about themselves. The masculine figures doesn't necessarily have to mean men. It can just be how people present themselves in the world. We can all try to present ourselves in the world like we're the boss, or it should be more about us, or thinking we can control things. High vibe people have gotten balance within themselves. They really are who they say they are. They're not trying to manipulate people, not trying to control people, not letting their ego, because the masculine cards can just represent male or female, that they're operating more from their egoic nature. And high vibe people take action in the world because emotionally it is the truth of who they are. You're either authentically being yourself in the world, or you're trying to confuse people by how you act about the truth of how you think and feel. So high vibe people are more balanced within themselves in how they think and feel with how they present themselves in the world. Other people might be aligned with their more emotionally shadowy nature of lust, greed, pride, ego, self-centeredness, whatever, caught up in the world. And that's their truth. But a lot of times people who are more shadowy or bossy or controlling or whatever don't want other people to know that that's their truth because other people wouldn't get in a relationship with them. So it's trying to feel like they can control other people emotionally. The feminine figures, again, talk about how we think and feel. At the end of the story, we have 3 cards not showing themselves. Let's wait. Let's see what those are. Okay, so we start out with the body, support, hiking. Then we have rejection, contracts, addiction, the authority card. Then we have games, leadership, and children. So one way we could look at this is that we all have some of our fears and insecurities and past pain and heartbreak can be the rejection card. We could reject connecting in with ourselves more emotionally. Some people prefer to live more from their mind than their heart, and they could kind of the body card is making me think of our more worldly nature. We could align with our more, with the support card there being children, that we could be aligned where we kind of are more aligned with our more immature way of viewing life and be more codependent. And um, you could view this as that we kind of in our ego nature don't want our more emotionally hopeful believing nature to go out in the world because it could get hurt. Then we can also be people who don't like to emotionally give of ourselves. And if we're someone who is defensive, because shadowy energy can be that we're in our ego and our defensive nature, we don't really like to give of ourselves emotionally, we're fearful of being hurt. And so then out of our ego nature, we're trying to protect ourselves, and but yet we want to be in a relationship with other people, but then we can be controlling of other people. Like, you should be in your fear and insecurity just like me. You should be in more codependent energy, and you should stay in a relationship with me. It'll look like we got it going on in the world, right? But regardless of if people align with their more immature nature, fearful nature, defensive nature, want to look like a boss in the world, status ego image, they're going to go on their own journey, is kind of what the hiking card is making me think of, between a Virgo. Both these cards kind of remind me of Virgo energy, because Virgo, I believe, does have to do with the body. And we either align with our more worldly nature or our more hopeful believing nature. Some people have already been at this stage of life and been in relationships with people who are like that, partly because they were kind of in some shadowy energy of their own. And some people kind of were inspired. The authority card reminds me of like Aries energy, which is fire sign energy, which can be about being inspired. Some people became inspired to, I don't want to let my fear and my insecurity and my pride and my ego and all those things manipulate me. I'm going to go on this journey. And Virgo energy can talk about taking time alone to do some of this inner work to get more balanced within yourself. Why am I not who I say I am in the world? Why do I maybe hide from the world and not like shine my authentic light in the world, and live my more authentic life? So high vibe people go on this journey to work through these issues that manipulate them. Thinking we can all want certain things to work out the way we wanted. We didn't want to move away from certain people. We didn't want certain people to move away from us. But high vibe people acknowledge the truth that I can't control anyone. I can want other people to do this work within themselves, but I can't make them do that work. And if other people in their free will have a way of viewing life where it is more about getting in a relationship to have a certain status or image, or to get in a relationship to be in a relationship, but feeling like it's not really in high vibe Virgo based on truth and love, and being inspired by love, and being inspired to work together more cooperatively than out of fear or codependency, and not trying to control each other, then the only person I can change is me. And if their truth is different than my truth, then I need to work through my own issues that I struggle with, that tempt me to keep staying in that kind of relationship. Because we have our kind of more hopeful, believing, loving nature, and we also have our more fearful, codependent nature, and would like things to work out the way we want it. But sometimes things don't work out the way we wanted, because kind of like our higher self and the divine knows what our dreams are, and is kind of calling us to align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And we can choose, just like to choose to align with in ourself whatever nature we want to align with in our free will. There's different people in the world that we can align with. Some of those people we can love, they can have love for us, but it can be It makes me think of how the devil card looks just like the lover's card, but it's kind of like a toxic love, and there's chains and shackles, and you can feel like people are being manipulative or um, not willing to work together with you more cooperatively from love, but there can be love there, but or it can be that you feel like people are trying to control you or don't want you in high vibe energy to be more independent, want you to be more codependent, don't like that you might not be as manipulated by some things that they're manipulated by, but they want whatever manipulates them to let it manipulate you. And it's like, well, those aren't things that manipulate me. And, when we're kind of in more shadowy energy, we can let the world manipulate us. You have to look a certain way, you have to act a certain way. This is the most important thing. It can be being more superficial and shallow. It can be that you have friends and family members that you're in relationship with, and they live their life a certain way and they want you to live life a certain way, and they don't want you to be more independent and live your life differently than they live their life. And it's like, why can't we be individuals? That's like high vibe Virgo. We're all our own individuals. We all have our own unique talent, skills, and interests. We all have things and people and ways of that we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into, that we enjoy, that we find emotionally fulfilling. Do we tell our friends and family members that, well, no, I have this hobby and you have to have this hobby? I find this hobby enjoyable. It's like, no. And I don't tell you that, well, this is the type of person I married and this is why I married them or I date them. You have to marry and date someone like this. It's like, well, good for you, but that's not my truth, right? But there's some people who do try to control people in their friend group or their family group. This is how I live my life. This is how you should live your life. They might have their own, they might be more worldly driven, materialistically driven, try to control and manipulate people, be more codependent. And then they cannot like it when someone else is more open to love. And sometimes people will say, well, if you're going to align with those people, then I'm not going to have anything else to do with you. It's kind of like, again, if you have friends or family members, we were supposed to stay the primary foundation of loyalty in your life. You were never supposed to become more independent and make other people that you maybe are going to marry or create a family with the primary foundation that you have loyalty to. And that's how some friend groups and family groups can be. It's like, well, no, you're always supposed to make us the primary loyalty. And if at some future point in time we tell you we don't like those people that you're in a relationship with, because the contracts can just be kind of, again, who we have loyalty to. And again, people can have some codependent relationships with people and let those people manipulate and control them. And it's like an addiction. And that can be, I'm fearful and afraid of being more independent of those people or making my life about those things. What would those people think? What would those people say? If I went and kind of stood up for myself, because Aries energy is about the self, and I worked through my fears and my insecurities and my codependency to go live my more authentic life, well, they're probably going to have some people in their life who are going to be upset. I wanted to be able to control you. It bothers me that you are free of some of the things that manipulate me, because then it makes me kind of think about why I don't live my life more independently. Why do I get caught up more in my ego and my image or my status or things that I orient my life around, thinking I'm living the dream and look what a boss I am and look how much fun I'm having. And you seem to be free of those things. But in order for people to get free of these things that used to manipulate them, they had to be willing to deal with the truth, because the truth sets us free. I need to work through my own feelings of maybe abandonment, not feeling good enough, um, what I have been brought up to believe. The contracts card reminds me of like the scales of justice, which is Libra energy, of what I think is just and fair. And then it's also kind of reminding me of Hierophant Taurus energy. We all grow up in family dynamics and communities and cities and states and countries, and people within those families or those areas of life can view life a certain way. And Taurus energy and Libra energy can be, again, this way of viewing life that we thought was just and fair. Well, are we going to make our life, it's kind of like conforming to the world or living our life like other people live their life. It really has a hold on us, is what the addiction card can be. You've really got to work through, why do I think the way I think? Why do I believe the way I believe? Why do I think this is good and that is bad and this is right and that is wrong? High vibe energy is about adhering to a higher truth and justice, not a more, well, they say this is right or wrong, or my family, or, it's, is this just and fair? Is this treating other people the way you like to be treated? Is this acting with character and integrity? Are you really walking the talk? I adhere to a higher truth or justice, and I think some of these old ways of living life and viewing life, everybody grew up in their era of living life, just like at one time we were cave people, right? Well, if nobody ever did anything different and they kept doing the same thing over and over, because that's my truth, I have fear of breaking free of it, we'd all still be cave people today. But we were all given our creative, inspired, intuitive, loving nature in the games. Again, kind of more balanced, helping each other, being a good leader in the world, being loving and encouraging to other people, letting our more authentic, loving nature out to play in the world from love, to treat other people in a just and fair way, to act with character and integrity, to treat other people the way we like to be treated. That's being a good leader in the world and a balanced leader in the world. And with some people in your life, you could have felt like maybe when you did some inner work to free yourself from something, lack mentality, codependency, past pain and heartbreak, then some other people didn't want to be in a relationship with you anymore because they like being in relationships with people who are kind of willing to indulge them more in it being a little bit more about them. And you can have friends, but they kind of like it when you're sad or you're unhappy or you're maybe the motivated, and you keep being the motivating and inspiring person in their life, but they never work through their issues to get more balance within yourself, but they like you playing that role in their life, but they are never kind of going to treat you the way you treat them. And the same things we can find happens in workplaces and friendships and relationships. And eventually high vibe people kind of feel rejected and feel kind of restricted and limited. I can have love for people. I can want the best for them if I offer them truth and love. That's high vibe Virgo energy. And am offering to work together with them in a just and fair way to help them work through their issues. Some of them, though, there's like, but I don't have an interest in working through my issues. But I want you to keep playing that role in my life. And then, like I say, to the opposite, you could think some people in your life were loving and encouraging and supportive of you, and to a degree they were, but then they don't like it when you're ready to move forward and the relationship that we both have worked through our issues to both work together. It's like, well, no, I like to play that role in your life, or I like you to play that role in my life. I was like, well, are we ever going to get to where, we've worked through those issues? And with some of the people in our life, we do. We can all have known people and met people when we were younger, when we were more immature, when we were more fearful, when we were more codependent. We still had past pain and heartbreak and lack mentality to work through. And together, we all did it. And we keep going through phases of life where we keep overcoming, it's like being age 15, being age 18, age 21. We worked together through it. We were loving and encouraging and supportive. And then we went to go to the next phase of life. And then we worked through that phase of life. We learned more lessons. We dealt with more issues. And then we went to the next phase of life. And with some people in our life, they keep moving forward with us in that way. Some people dropped off and we never got back on the same page again because we we're going different directions. Other times, some people you can meet up again together at some future point in time. But we probably have the people in our life that, and we can always have a mix of both. Some people, because we can't ever get rid of our shadow nature, and shadowy people exist in the world, and so there's always going to be people in the world who tempt us to align with our more shadowy, immature, lustful, greedy, prideful, immature, indulgent nature at any given moment in time. It exists within us, it exists in the world. Well, at any time you can be moving forward with people in a relationship, and what do we do when we go through a difficult period in a relationship? Are we equally inspired to put in, Virgo is our sign energy, putting in work and effort, to have, in kind of like Pisces energy, hope and faith and belief in our dreams? Are we able to keep focused on the big picture? Are we willing to do that work within ourselves to work through our own fears and insecurities and deal with the situations that are going on in a relationship, being a good leader in our own life, making good decisions, and taking the other people in our life into account when we're making decisions in our life? Or do we get tempted to align with our more shadowy energy of, I feel rejected, I feel like these people aren't indulging me enough, I feel like these people are more independent or more confident or want me to work through my issues and I don't want to work through my issues. They want me to take them into consideration more than I have been or something, or I have these things I want to go indulge in that we're either choosing to keep putting in work and effort for the big picture, common goal, or we're not. And some people could be at that stage in a relationship. I would recommend, if you think, everybody's got to listen to their intuition. When your intuition, I would say, work through these issues within yourself about, why would I keep moving forward and what I would be moving forward with? Why would I think of not moving forward with it? Have I been acting in a just... That's what I think is the best advice, is I'm going to act in a way that I can feel proud of. I am going to put in the work and effort within myself to work through my own fears, insecurities, self-limiting beliefs, and put myself out there so I can be proud of myself that I know I tried to work together with people in a just and fair and authentic, loving way. I don't want to have regrets later that I didn't do that. And then when you do that, there can be some people that it kind of puts the ball back in their court of, now are you going to do that? And some of them will, and that can be kind of when, you're kind of illuminated to the truth that they're not. Sometimes we can always want other people to change, And if it was just them, and it's like, I'm going to put in the work to be the person I would like to be proud of myself, to act with character and integrity, to know I gave it everything I could. And if that still, the other people aren't willing to do that, then I see the truth that we're motivated and inspired by different things, and our truth can be different, and maybe how we want to move forward is different, and that maybe they really never wanted to move forward in a more just and fair and authentic or emotionally mature, or have things they would need to become independent of, things within them that manipulate them, things in their life or people in their life that manipulate them. And I see the truth and I accept the truth. And that's when some people move away from those people. And just because we move away from some people, we still have to do this work within ourselves to not go repeat that pattern with someone else, and to figure out, why did I get in it and keep staying in it for as long as I did? And part of it could be, Pisces being emotional water sign energy. We all want these things that we want in the world. 2 earth sign energy, fire sign energy. We want community. We want friendship. We want relationship. We want a job, if we were looking for a job. To have stability and security in our life. But did we kind of not listen to our more hopeful, believing nature, and didn't believe our dreams maybe could come into reality, and maybe some of the people or people who would be more on the same page as us aren't in our reality at the moment? And we can feel a little stuck and rejected, and we want these things, and then we can make a decision more out of fear and insecurity and want for these things. And then we can kind of get ourselves in a more mismatched relationship where what drives and motivates us really isn't the same. There can be a lot of things about it that we like, but one person can be more motivated and inspired by love and justice and fairness, and more hopeful and believing, and more willing to be more authentically themselves. And the other person could be more, it might have all the stability and the security, and it looks just and fair and looks like you got it going on in the world, but they're just not aligned with their more hopeful, believing, creative, inspired, authentically loving nature. So it seems to be more about the stability or the world, or staying in it more for the codependency or fear of leaving. And eventually high vibe people work through it enough where it's like, I feel like I've done everything I can do. I've offered people truth and love and encouragement to work together with me in a more authentic, just, fair, balanced, loving way. They have their free will to choose to do that or not. Are they putting in work and effort to work through those issues, or are they not? Are they more about trying to manipulate and control people, or more about themselves, or more tipped into that it has to be more about them, or it's was always more about the ego or the image or the status, and not necessarily love that drives and motivates them? And that's when some people make the decision out of love for themselves that I have to stand up for myself. Shadowy people, if they're bossy, controlling, hurtful, unkind, immature, lazy, or whatever, they're standing up for their viewpoint. They want loving, encouraging people to indulge them in what they stand up for. And part of this process can be, shadowy people can try to manipulate loving people because I know you love me, and so I think I can manipulate you. There comes a time where this whole life experience might have made some people do some of this work within themselves to figure out why they don't stand up for themselves. Love is supposed to be just and fair. you're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated, not trying to manipulate them, control them, overpower them, tempt them in their more shadowy energy. Is to be, do you want other people to grow to their full potential? Do you want them to love and believe in themselves? And some people are like, no, I just want them to stay in a relationship with me or love me. Well, partly is part because, or make their life about this or that. That's what's important to me. And then it can seem restrictive and confining, like, these things manipulate me. This is what I make my life about. These are the people or the things that manipulate me or that I find emotionally fulfilling, is living the dream. You should make your life about that too. And it's like, I maybe did at one time. I'm a human being. I live in the world. I was caught up in things in the world. I wanted to go indulge in the world. I wanted to manifest certain things in the world, but I also want love. And it feels like, you're either working cooperatively with people from love, or we have a lot of pictures here of people, well, these three, I guess, being about themselves. And then it's working with someone else, but it's either a controlling, clingy, rejecting, and it can go both ways. Sometimes people, it can be like ooey gooey love bombing or cuddle me, and then it's the rejecting, and it's like going back and forth. What about more balance? Does it have to be this or that? Can't it be where, and again, so it's like, are some of the people that we're dealing with more balanced within themselves? Or are they more tipped out of balance and then they want someone else in a relationship who's equally imbalanced like they are? Kind of like if they're kind of living their life in a certain way of viewing life, they want you to view life that way. Or equally, they want you equally out of balance, where you're like a loving, nurturing, give person, and they're kind of a me person and take. Because we'll all find kind of like a balance. And if you're a very loving, giving person, the more you get in a relationship with someone who is equally more about themselves, you're like complements to each other. But you have different motivations. And so then it's like, you know what? I'm going to go find the people who this could have required me to do work within myself to get more balanced, work through this illusion, maybe. Pisces energy can be about having illusions about other people, under the illusion that everybody's motivated and inspired by love. Because in a world of free will, some people are like, I'm not doing love. I get hurt doing love. I enjoy myself in relationships. I can enjoy relationships. But it's kind of more shadowy energy. It's more about me indulging myself in the relationship, so long as it works for me, so long as it's good for my ego and my image, but I'm not doing love. I don't let my more authentic, loving nature out to play in the world. And this card kind of reminded me of Libra energy. Anyone, I view the King of Swords as Libra energy. Anyone in their own Libra energy of self could say, it's like their self-protective, defensive nature. And it's like, we do not let our more hopeful, believing, loving nature out to play, whether they're male or female. And we just need to see the truth of it. And then we have to work through the rejection of it, why they indulge in their more defensive nature, and all of it could have been for the purpose of getting us more balanced, so that we in turn could, instead of being, is it good to be a loving, nurturing, giving person? Yes, but you also have to be balanced and have learned to stand up for yourself and what you believe in, or there will be other people, because you haven't learned to do that, and you do get tipped out of balance and give, that you've got to learn to be a good leader in your life. And accept that everyone has free will. You can be friends with a lot of different people, but if they show you that they haven't done this work to free themselves to work together with you in a more just and fair and balanced way, that from now on you make a decision that, yeah, they just stay in the friend zone and I don't get in a more involved relationship with them. Because my dream won't come into reality with someone who isn't operating from a foundation of love. So until they work through those issues, if they ever choose to, they stay in the friend zone, because I need to learn to be a good leader and protective of my more emotionally loving, nurturing, authentic self. I can, unlike the other people, but you can see how it kind of mirrors each other. You are standing up for yourself, but you're doing it in a loving and encouraging way, willing to work together with other people. But I stand up for my truth. And if I see that the truth is you're more about yourself or indulging yourself or hot and cold or imbalanced or more about the world or more about you or whatever, I have come to a place of peace about it, and I'm ready to move forward in my life. I'm going to take High Vibe Virgo. I'm going to take the lessons I've learned from this life experience to reconcile myself with the past and all the different people I've known in my life. And I just accept that everyone is where they're at. They are the type of human being they are. They've got their own issues. Some of them do work together with me in this way. Some of them don't. I'm getting out of my ego about it. They are who they are. Can I get along with them? Yes. Am I going to put more hope and faith and belief in it or get in a more involved relationship with them? No. And some people, shadowy energy, again, you're either working together with people cooperatively from love, or you think you have an idea that I'm going to act in these hurtful or unkind ways to try to manipulate them to get them to do it the way I wanted. And for a lot of us in the past, that would have worked. And that's where some people, as you're moving forward with some people in a relationship, if during the course of moving forward with some of those people, you see them repeat some of these poor past patterns that you've seen other people do, whether if that's just being kind of witchy or catty or controlling or something, right? It's like, wait a minute, wait. No, you can go do that with someone else. Well, then some of those people are upset because they had free will to choose to work together with people in a just and fair and authentic and loving way, and some of those people didn't choose to do that. And now some of those people could kind of find themselves, like people they went to go use or went to go align with, they were only maybe getting in relationships with those people or aligning with those things to manipulate a loving person in their life. And the loving person said, yes, I see what you're doing, and you go have fun doing that, and I'm moving on. And then they're upset because then there could be in relationships with people who are more like them. And even shadowy people, they might be prideful, they might be egotistical, they might be like to indulge in certain things, but maybe the people in that group would be willing to move forward with them in that way. But even shadow, it's kind of like the devil. The devil, if you're to, not to compare anybody to devils or demons or whatever, right? But the devil could have all sorts of minions around willing to indulge the devil. Who does the devil want? The devil wants, like, the angels. I want them, or I want somebody loving and hopeful and believing to love me. I know some of these people will stay in a relationship with me for the ego or the image or the fear or the insecurity, and I could want and would be willing to maybe stay in a relationship with them too. We might put in a lot of work and effort to look a certain way in the world, like how great our life is, but it's not really based on love. It's using our emotions manipulatively. And I want to be in a relationship with someone who authentically is loving. But you can see where that's an injustice, right? if they're not authentically loving, and they could use their emotions and their sexuality and their looks and their charm and their influence and their power and their stability and their security, and they use all those things in a more manipulative way to get people to get in a relationship with them, but they don't really operate authentically motivated and inspired by love. You can kind of see where eventually the people who are motivated and inspired by love aren't going to want to stay in a relationship with them. But you can, just like you can stay in a job with a bad boss, but they pay you good, or for the stability or the security, and everybody has to listen to themselves and decide when they are ready to make that move to go get like a different job, a different friend, a different relationship. And some people have, and they offer love and encouragement to other people for them to work through those issues within themselves, to work together with them more, being more inspired by truth and love than fear and codependency or lust or greed or immaturity. And some people could be trying to figure out right now what their truth is. At the end, we have 3 cards not showing itself: the water, the prejudice, and the fear of death. So, the fear of death, of course, reminds me of Scorpio energy, which is death and transformation. It's also emotional water sign energy. And the water can represent that emotionally we could like to indulge ourselves more in the world. And the prejudice card can be where, the truth is there's some people where it's like, if you've transformed, if you've changed, you're not the same person you were before. You don't view life the way you did. You don't live life the way you used to. Yeah, no, they don't want you here. Because if the shadowy kind of people or live life at a certain stage of life or viewpoint of life, they can thoroughly enjoy it, feeling like, they're living the dream, because there's no one in their life kind of illuminating different. And they don't want to be around people who illuminate different. Because if they live and hang out with people who are just like themselves, well, then we are living the dream, and look how great our life is, and look how much fun we have, and look what good leaders we are. But if someone comes in who illuminates that you people are kind of superficial or shallow or self-indulgent or full of yourself, oh, well, we need to get rid of you. You're trying to stop us from indulging in living life the way we live it and the way we enjoy. So then they become rejecting of you because you make them kind of, high vibe energy illuminates the truth. And it kind of makes other people see kind of what drives and motivates them to make them look in the mirror, and they don't like looking in the mirror. High vibe energy illuminates the truth, deals with truth. Shadowy energy wants to keep things hidden. That's shadowy Virgo energy. I don't want to deal with the truth. I want to keep the truth locked up and maybe drowned out by indulging in all these other things of the world. It's not about love. It's not about growing up and maturing myself. No, it's about indulging myself and making my life about all these things of the world. And then I'm going to hang out with the people in the world who live their life like that. And then we can all live life in this illusion that we're these emotionally mature, stable, grounded, whatever type of people. But really, we're not hanging around with anyone who really is a more emotionally mature, balanced, loving person who challenges our belief system. And that's how some people want to live their life. And again, in the death card, you work through issues to free yourself from them. You changed. You weren't like you used to be. Then you kind of don't fit in with that crowd anymore. And then some of those people too are like, yeah, we don't like that you've changed because we aren't interested in changing. And that's fine. We just need to deal with the truth of it, that we're kind of ready, in the death and rebirth, we're ready to give birth to something new. And we have to do that work within ourselves about the fact that when we heal and grow and mature ourselves, there's going to be some people in our life who don't like it, and they don't want to heal and grow and mature themselves. And we have to do this work within ourselves to love ourselves, believe in ourselves, stand up for ourselves, and go on this new journey to see what the divine has in store for you, because the divine kind of like knew, and your soul knows what you would like to manifest. Do we go through a dark period? Probably. And then, but if we keep putting in the work and effort, that I am not going to keep indulging in illusion or fantasy land, this is over. There are some people in my life, I knew I didn't want to keep doing things that way. They knew they didn't want to change, and they did want to keep doing things that way. That this is over. But emotionally, it takes time. So as you do that work to work through it, eventually you come out on the other side of it, and other people are living their life the way they want to live it, and you've moved on. They could be repeating an old pattern, and you're giving birth to something new. What's coming up for people who are harnessing some high vibe Pisces energy? We have the Ten of Pentacles and the High Priestess reverse, and the reason it came out is because of the Five of Pentacles. So the Five of Pentacles comes after the Four of Pentacles. Our Virgo nature does this work within ourselves. Do I want to keep staying in a workplace, a friendship, or relationship, or within myself, where I let these things manipulate me? Or am I going to harness my Virgo energy differently and get more inspired to do this work within myself to free myself? And the Five of Pentacles comes after the Four of Pentacles. We had a way of living life and viewing life. And then in the Five of Pentacles, we see the truth. I feel left out in the cold. The longer I keep trying to hold on to this, the more I keep feeling left out in the cold. Because at one time it could have seemed really abundant, but then as time has went by, it could be abundant in a lot of ways in my worldly nature that I like, but in my more creative, inspired, loving nature, it lacks in abundance, and they're both important. So I'm going to work through the things of my worldly nature that keep me more attached to this, and do this work to be more aligned with my hopeful, believing, loving nature, to let go and move on. And then the Five of Pentacles, like in the Contracts card, Taurus energy, everybody has their philosophy of life of what they view as abundant. And for some people, if they don't have to invest too much emotionally or heal or grow or mature themselves, that is really living the life. That's what they view as abundant. And other people, it's like, I'm inspired. I want to work through things that manipulate me. Other people don't. And so you're willing to go on this journey to free yourself. And I think in High Vibe Virgo of the Ten of Pentacles, you will be more stable, more grounded, more insightful, more self-aware, and feeling much more abundant within yourself, and have the potential then to work with other people who are more abundant in those different kind of ways. Because before, you were moving forward with people who maybe had no interest in becoming self-aware of what manipulates them or why they do what they do. And it's like, I want to be around people who are more enlightened to the truth, who are more self-aware of why they do what they do, who have learned some lessons in life, who have worked through their lack mentality and aren't as controlling and codependent, who are more balanced within themselves, feel more abundant within themselves, that want to be in relationships with other people and can enjoy other people who are more balanced and loving and abundant within themselves without viewing that as a threat, and know how to enjoy people in that way. And with the High Priestess in reverse not showing itself, when the High Priestess is in the upright, which is Cancer and Pisces, two water sign energies, it can be a time of sitting back and watching and observing how other people are living their life in a way and the decisions that they're making, and listening to your intuition. And with it not showing itself and it being in reverse, you're maybe done. You've completed the cycle with the Death card here. Other people might not know it with these cards not showing themselves. Some people could still think, oh, look, we're still manipulating them. We're still being discriminatory to them. We're still not working cooperatively with them. I bet they still feel left out in the cold. And what some of those people don't know is that you did this work within yourself. Your own you can look at the Death card as your own shadowy nature. There's a part of yourself, because it exists, that could want to go back and repeat an old pattern, just like in the Five of Pentacles is headed that way. But all three of your water sign energies of Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio are, the one you had to get on board was Scorpio, because Scorpio is fixed sign energy. This was Cancer and Pisces. We have to get out of our fixed sign energy that wants us to keep repeating an old pattern. And because all three of your emotionally is on board with moving forward, you have changed. You're not giving in to your more immature nature or indulging other people in poor behavior. You've seen the truth. It's just some people in your life don't know you've seen the truth. And they might think right now they're manipulating you, or at some future date they can come back and manipulate you. But what they don't realize is you've done this work within yourself. You are aligning with your more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And you're more stable and balanced and grounded within yourself than you were before. No more illusions. No more living in fantasy land. You have seen the truth. It's just that other people don't know that you've seen the truth. And as you move forward, you are listening to your intuition that, there's always going to be other people in shadowy energy that, more immature, more prideful, more manipulative, more about themselves, that are going to want to be in a relationship with you. But because of these lessons that you've learned, you are very self-aware about, and have learned these lessons about why people do what they do. And if you meet people who seem, you're going out in high vibe energy, offering people truth, love, to work together with them cooperatively. And if there's people in the world who act kind of shadowy, you're like, oh, peace be with you. I'm going to keep moving on. I'm not going to be chasing after you. I'm not going to feel rejected. I'm not going to feel in my ego or feel left out in the cold. You are the type of person you choose to be. It wasn't being just and fair and authentic and working with me cooperatively. I'm not going to take it personally. You just are the type of person that you are. And someone else can enjoy your company. And it won't be me. Can I still work with you and get along with you? Yeah. But, shadowy people want to be able to kind of manipulate and control you. And some of those people, if they can't manipulate you and control you, they don't like you because they only like to be in relationships with people they can manipulate and control. So they might see the truth that, oh shit, here's another person I can't manipulate and control. I'll have to go find someone else maybe I can manipulate and control. It's like, yep, you go do that. And now I know the truth that you are someone who's like that. And I'm going to keep moving on. And also maybe just more ready to go out in the world, that because you've done this work within yourself and worked through it, learned the lessons, done observing, ready to go out there and just move forward in your life and get to know other people. What's coming up for the more worldly, shadowy that they don't see coming? The Knight of Wands. Why? Because of the page, or the Queen of Pentacles. Well, as time goes by, there can always be people, your own shadowy energy starts to get the message. Shit. Us in our more worldly, egoic nature never thought you would work through your fears and insecurities to emotionally invest in yourself and love and believe in yourself. And your own shadow nature is getting the message that you have learned lessons in life. You are not the same person you were before. You're not going to indulge your more immature nature or more immature people in your life. And that you're going on this adventure and you're moving forward in life. And then, just like we do that within ourselves, some of the shadowy people in the world are going to have people in their life that are doing the same thing, that they used to be loving and encouraging and supportive to them, maybe in a workplace, in a friendship, in a family dynamic, married to them, wanted to marry them. And some of those people are doing this work within themselves and communicating with them. I'm done indulging you in this way. I have done everything I can. You keep choosing this. I'm trying to move it forward like this. I see that your truth in your Taurus philosophy of life is different. I wish you peace. I'm moving on. And they did not see that coming. And because the shadowy people keep choosing to invest in indulging their more immature nature. They might be in a workplace, they might be in a relationship, they might be married to someone or want to marry someone, but they at the same time could be using their looks, their money, their resources, their sexuality, whatever, again, to manipulate people. And eventually people see the truth and they see through the illusion. I don't think you're really wanting, you might want to be in a relationship with me for the status, the ego, the image, or however you benefit, but I don't think it's love. And that's why some high vibe people leave their life. Or I've been loving and encouraging to you, believing in you, but you keep repeating these old patterns. It's like, I'm done. You go live your life. If I'm a friend or a family member who keeps trying to figure out and help you figure out kind of why you might take some more immature action in your life, I'm done. You go live your life. Enjoy. I'm going. And so then the more shadowy people probably going to keep repeating this old pattern because there's some things they haven't seen the truth of. They might not want to see that they're manipulative, prideful, immature, full of themselves, codependent, have other people in their life that are like that. Until they deal with the truth, it's going to keep manipulating them. Or they're just more inspired to be in a relationship or to be in a relationship to indulge themselves. And then people see the truth, people leave, then they go get another relationship. You're like looking to a relationship to be the answer to their problems. But being in a relationship isn't the answer to their problems, but they could think that. No, if I find the right person, then all my fears, all my insecurities, all my whatever, and blah, 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 all those things will go away. It's like, no, those things, you can feel better for a while. Pisces is also represented by the Knight of Cups. And this is the Knight of Wands. Just going out on these journeys, still got some lessons to learn. And other people in their life are more emotionally mature as a queen. And again, the queens can talk about how we think and feel. Some of the people are still letting their ego nature run their life. Other people have gotten less out of their ego and they've emotionally grown up and matured themselves. And some of them just want to be immature players. Some of them have a philosophy of life that if they look a certain way or have a certain amount of clout or money, they have these illusions about relationships and think people should be willing to indulge them because they indulge themselves in that illusion. They think it's true and they think it's just and fair. And some of them are just more immature and they're just looking for more immature people to hang out with, but yet they want to maintain a certain status and image. Like, I want to be like knights, immature, but I want to have a status of and people to view me as much more mature. Well, I think eventually, people, it's just like people could have a certain status or image, and we've read about people who've gotten in problems in the newspaper who thought because they had a certain status or image in the world or power or influence that they could act in these much more immature ways and it wouldn't affect their image or their status. And it does, because they keep taking more immature action and other people, eventually the truth comes to light and they maybe never thought it was going to come to light, that they would be able to maintain this certain status while acting in these more immature ways. And while other people really are kind of high vibe Taurus, walking the talk and not acting in more immature ways, for people who thought, oh no, these people will align with me and how I'm living life, eventually people could have, but as time goes by, they can kind of see the truth that you're not who you say you are. I did buy into the illusion. I did align with you. I did invest in you. I did want to get in a relationship with you. But I'm starting to think some of the people who could have moved on from you or former employees, I think they had the right idea. And I think they saw something I wasn't seeing. And now that I see it, I'm leaving too. So just like it happens in workplaces, if people are being kind of immature and bossy and controlling, employees are going to leave. And same way in relationships. And then the opposite way could happen where people have been indulging people in workplaces and families. And eventually people are done indulging people in their more immature ways. And some people never saw that coming, because if someone has been able to kind of indulge themselves in a workplace or a relationship and kind of manipulate people, they kind of think, I can keep manipulating these people because they're loving, encouraging people. But eventually those people get tired of it and they move on. And then these people have to go find someone else to manipulate or go get a different job if they lost their job. And if they lost a relationship, they got to go find a different relationship because they had the free will to work through these issues, to grow up, and they chose not to. And other people saw the truth of it, and other people moved on. And I would say high vibe people are going to be working with other more authentic, loving people, and the shadowy people are going to try to manipulate high vibe people and more shadowy people, whichever one they can get to indulge them, whichever works. So there you go, Pisces. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.